Thank you, Ruby. Just a voice check from yourself, just a name and title, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, it's Jim McGregor from SARDA Isle of Man.
Okay, so we're joined in the studio with Ruby. Can you tell us a little bit about Ruby and what type of dog she is?
Yeah, Ruby's a wire-haired pointer. She's just over 2 years old, and very play-driven. She's in training at the moment, and her job's to find people. So we're working on that at the moment.
And so, for people who don't know, what does SARDA stand for?
SARDA's Search and Rescue Dogs Association, and we're a voluntary organisation. All of us are volunteers, none of us paid. The dogs live at home with us, and we basically train twice a week to get the dogs up to a national standard where they're assessed by external people, and just train so that we find people that go missing. And
so why is that work of SARDA's important? How often are you involved in the community, looking for missing people?
It's it very much depends on, it comes in sort of scutches of looking for people, but last year we had a record year, 24 times that we were called out. Some of them are very, very short. We're on the way to the scene and the person's been found, which is great. And then of course there's been some times where there was one that was a 3-day search, so it clearly can vary greatly.
And on a personal note, Jim, what sort of motivates you in this? What drives you to stick at it with SARDA?
I think having a skill level, actually testing yourself. My last dog that retired, Star, I knew exactly what I was doing, and I think the challenge this time was try a completely different type of dog where they're just looking for one person rather than anyone in the area. And it was that new challenge of skills, but also it's working as a team. It's all the usual things. It's not just the team of SARDA. It's working with the police, with the Coast Guard, civil defence. It's working as a whole group.
And what's it like been working with Ruby? Because obviously she's very new to this, but how's her training going?
Yeah, training's going well. She's a little bit more difficult than a collie. Collies seem to be very trainable, and Star was almost qualified. She was qualified at 2, but we almost qualified at 18 months. Ruby's a little bit more immature, so it's taken a little bit longer. And there's a lot more involved looking for one person. There's so many different other factors that you have to consider.
And are you, obviously, it's all done on scent from the dogs, and you literally follow their trail effectively. Is that something that still astounds and impresses you?
Yeah, definitely. We've done a trail. We did one on Monday night where we trailed someone for 2.5 miles. This is 4 hours later, and you can use a pillowcase. If you had a car crash, you can get a swab of the visor and put a bit of saline water, and the dog will pick up that scent. So it's quite incredible.
And so the dog knows that you're wanting it to find the scent of that person.
Just one person. We've trailed through Strand Street, and you obviously, with all the people in there, she'll ignore everyone else. She'll find the right person, and she indicates just by sitting by them. And then the reward is, well, it's dog food with Ruby. She loves her food.
For yourself, again, what stood out for you in this role for SARDA? What over your career, what's really been a point where you've gone, I've really made a difference here?
I think it has to be your first find. We had someone that we found with Star up by the hospital, and you're training all the time. It's when you finally actually make a difference, and it's not always about finding. Of course, sometimes you search an area, and just getting a hug here. You sometimes search an area, and you say to the police they're not there, and then another team, Coast Guard team, find elsewhere. So, but yeah, that first find and the fact that you made a difference, and actually we've had some that have been quite, I would say, critical finds in the last year. Where if we hadn't found it, it was a matter of life or death. Simple as that. So. Yes, it's been that's definitely a standout moment, and I think probably when you pass the assessment, there's so much build-up. It takes 2 years to get to a level where you're going to pass. When you finally pass, you're just on cloud 9. It means everything.
And speaking of, obviously, this is a volunteer thing. for aspiring, for young people and people looking to go into work, how valuable do you think getting into volunteering is, and doing work in the community like this?
Yeah, I mean, I teach at St Ninians, and one of the things I do is sometimes go into assemblies, and I go into primary schools as well, and really push the sort of volunteering, because we are a small island community, and we're there for each other, and we've got to be there for each other. So I really do push how important it is, how much you get out of it yourself, you get satisfaction yourself, but making a difference. One of the other bits that we have to do as a dog handler, you have to be in one of the other emergency services. And so two of us are in civil defence, one's in special in the police. And, even civil defence, you look at what it's there for. It's there to support the fire service, the ambulance, the police, because if anything big happens, we do live on an island. We can't suddenly get help from a neighbouring county. So, the fact that we've got 45 fantastic volunteers that all help each other is excellent.
And just finally, obviously you work for SARDA, and obviously you're on call, but it's not just for the Isle of Man as well. Am I right in saying that you are sometimes, if needed, you go across to help, to lend people a hand? Yeah,
usually it wouldn't be a natural call out to go across, but if we're training across, we do train with the Welsh ones quite a lot. We are used then. I mean, probably the most notable one I had was the April Jones search in Mahuncleth, which was the little girl that was murdered there. And I was on assessment at the time. And
you were called out?
We were called out, and we were used because they're qualified at a national standard. So all the other organisations around the country know that they've reached that high level. I mean, one thing I would say, I know this is going off the point a little bit, but one of the things with a role of a volunteer, apart from self-satisfaction and stuff, is you clearly need the support at home. And without our families supporting us, we just wouldn't be able to do what we do. They are a big part of it as well, because it is a big commitment. It's twice a week with the dogs, once a week with civil defence. It's a lot of time.
And they understand your devotion to this?
They fully understand. In fact, they take part. I have family members that go out and hide for me, and they've been brilliant. So it's a team effort, not just with the search dogs, but with the wider team. It's a big thing, definitely.
Jim,